What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the old workshop vlog skyline build bust up extraordinaire. As you saw last episode, cleaned up this carpet, which came up pretty good considering what it was, the state it was in, if you remember seeing it. So not half bad at all. Should look quite nice and tidy in the white car. It's all good. It's come up pretty good. Cannot complain. So that's all pretty much done. You saw last episode I started pulling out all the trim we're going to use and laying it in there. I've chucked it in there for now. I'll clean it as we put it in. It's going to be the best way to go, I think. And obviously the seats in the parcel shelf and the door cards over here, which also need a clean up. But once again, probably just clean them as they go in, just because they're going to have to sort of lay here in the shed while other stuff happens anyway. So today plan is to start getting this motor ready to come out of this one. I think I explained in the last episode, but what I plan on doing is just pulling the radiator and everything out, cutting the radiator support brace out so that there's nothing in front of the motor, and pretty much get the whole thing ready so that if someone wants it, I can just lift it out with the digger while it's down wherever it's going. I don't have to bring it back up to the shed. So Rex is going to start cleaning up some of this mess, so he's got some more room, and Rex is going to start looking at supporting his head and doing some oil pump porting, so actually porting the feed hole for the oil pump, because it does have a very sharp corner from factory which can be smoothed out quite a bit, which helps out a fair lot. So yeah, that's pretty much what's going on today. I'll get cracking. What I'm doing is not exactly that exciting, so I probably won't be doing a lot of filming of what I'm doing, but I'll try and sort of film a fair bit of what Rex is up to, because that will be a lot more interesting, and has a lot more to do with the old R31 build than what I'm doing. So Rightio, getting there. Old 31 got the chop. This motor's pretty much just ready to come out, apart from some stuff I've got to do underneath. All the loom's been pulled out and laid over the motor. All of it's been disconnected from up at the battery here, so everything's disconnected around here. Just got to get underneath the car and cut the exhaust, and then just a couple of cross member bolts, which I'll just leave sort of one each side in, so that when it comes to pull it out, although I am talking to a mate who may want to buy it, so if that's the case I might just rip it out. I'm waiting for him to get back to me. Rex has been doing some port work. He's had to go into town to get some more flappy wheels for the die grinder because he needs some smaller ones, but yeah, he'll be back fairly soon. So gosh, what a mess. It's probably hard to see on camera, but you can see maybe where it's just smoothed out that sharp edge on that feed. It's a lot easier if you can pop the Welsh plug out and get at it from there, but unfortunately we don't have any Welsh plugs that size to put back in there, so we're not popping that out at the moment. But that's a ported pump, which just helps quite a lot with the actual oil feed. And the old dad's all ready to go and push back outside, so there's literally nothing really holding the motor in. I've even dropped all of the cross member bolts and just used a ratchet strap inside to hold the back of the gearbox up. Pulled the tail shaft out so I could actually get the handbrake assembly out for Rex's car, because he needs that. So apart from that, this is ready to just pluck out. So it's all good. So I pushed it outside so it doesn't drip oil and crap everywhere, and just did a big clean up. And now I can start all of the stuff that's not getting used for Rex's can just start getting piled into this. And once it's piled in, it can just get pushed down into its new home down the front there with all the other condemned cars. Oh yeah.
So that's
nice.
And that's still just with the 60 grit.
Yep.
So I've got some 120s. So you rip it down smooth with the 60 and then get the 120 and just to really polish it up. But I'm gonna have to try and use some of these smaller ones just to try and get a couple of little sections around the guides and stuff like that. I'm hoping if this wears down enough, it might fit.
So it's been like 14 hours. My eardrums are starting to wither away. Reduced to nothing. This sort of thing takes so long. So long. Such a long process. But someone is going to end up with a really, really nice motor at the end of it. Not us. So while Rex has been at that, I pulled his gearbox back out and his tail shaft and all that. He's pretty much decided that he's going to pull all that out so he can paint the whole engine bay and drop the K-frame out to paint it so he doesn't have to worry about masking it up. That way, while the K-frame's out, he can paint all that black as well and make that all nice and pretty. So that's why I decided to pull his box back out. And yeah, honestly, I'm sort of, don't know what I'm doing now. Chilling out, I suppose. Rex was hoping to get the rust repairs done in the inner guards today as well. These ones down here, which you all have seen. Obviously, that needs to be completely repaired. I'll show you the difference between those and how bad this other one is. You know, I went around this car the other day, it might have been the last video, I said it's a shame that it's been front end damage because it was actually pretty clean, but look how rusty this thing is. Oh. Gross. So anyway, like I was saying, it is a common thing on R31s, definitely something to be looking out for if you're in the market for one, so that's somewhere to be looking at. But anyway, so he's not going to get a chance to do that tonight now, he's going to be at this stage probably just doing this head for the rest of the day. He's still got a fair bit of port work to do, probably another couple of hours at least. And then that's when we get to start on the valves. So, you know, it's just a long ass process. But because we're waiting for the crank anyway, we do have the time. And when you've got the time and you can do it, it's worth doing because just that polishing of the ports, the, you know, reduction in turbulence, it's crazy the difference it actually does make. To power figures at the end of it. Plus, look how pretty it is. Put that port main. So Rex, what'd you do on your birthday?
Ported this stupid head. Then I've got to reassemble it.
Ported it for 8 hours.
Oh, I went for a big drive in the middle. There we have.
To get porting tools.
Yeah, to get tools to port it. But we haven't fucking. I still need to grind the seats and valves. And still need to clean up all the camshaft area on the top before I can reassemble them. So, still plenty to do. It'll be most of my day just doing this head. Not the head I wanted for my birthday. Much work.
Alrighty, so this parts car has actually just been so good. Every time I think something's missing, I end up finding it just on the floor, like, of the car.
It's so the gift that keeps on giving.
It is, it just keeps on giving. So what we're doing at the moment, this is like the controller for the AC gear, which for a lot of you that know R31s really well will understand that silhouettes and maybe TIs, they have like the actual light up holographic like things that hold the knobs, like your changes. And the knobs sort of have the little holographic end in them so that, you know, when your interior lights are on, the actual adjusters light up, which does not happen in all 31s. It's really only like silhouettes and stuff. So you can see it's got the little holographic thing on the end of it. And yeah, so that actually lights up. So I thought one of these was missing. I just found it on the floor. Better not drop it and break it. So there's actually all 4 of those. So we've decided to flog the actual controller out of this silhouette so that we can put that in Rex's, so it's got the little, you know, the little light up fascia that has all the right lights and everything in it. So it's just cool to have all those little things because Yeah, they make a big difference to the interior when they're all in it and it's all nice and tidy, so pretty exciting. Typical 31er though, getting excited about little light up knobs.
Who the fuck done went and zip tied that piece of shit to there?
Alrighty guys, got the head pretty much ready to go as far as actually starting on the valves. Got the intake runners. Rex is at a point where he's pretty happy with them. He's not going to put any more time into them. So pretty much at the point where we're starting to, or ready to start doing the actual valves as far as grinding the seats and the valves. But just going to let you guys know now, as it is Rex's birthday, we are going to have a few beverages. We just got back from dinner where we had a few beverages. So things might get a bit silly. Get late for coffee, mate.
Mate, we're burning that midnight oil.
Got that birthday coffee up in here.
Working late into the night. Max just gets so hot and bothered doing this sort of thing that we need that spray bottle on hand just to keep him under control. Otherwise he gets a little bit too antsy.
Very
a bit
excited.
too rowdy.
I love
too
valve.
excited.
I love valve grinding. It's so great. Valve grinding is just the best. No, it's pretty fun. I got it. I like it.
I find it satisfying. I love doing this stuff.
Yeah, everything about engines, I just love it. Rightio guys, valves are all done. They all ground up okay. The exhaust side did take a bit of grinding, so we'll just see how they look in the seats once the seats are ground. So what you need to look for is the more you take off the valve and off the seat, you end up with a higher installed height on your valve spring, which does change. Rightio guys, sorry, I had to turn the music down. So what happens is the more you take off the ground and more you take off the seat, the higher your actual valve stem gets before it hits the collet, which is actually the spring. So it does change your installed height of the spring, which changes your seat pressure on the valve, which is all based off Hooke's law. So Hooke's law is...
Go ahead.
So Hooke's law... So Hooke's law is an equation in which you can use to actually work out your seat pressure on a valve based on the installed height of the spring and the installed height of the spring on a certain the seat pressure of a spring on a certain installed height, which they actually give you on a lot of aftermarket springs. They will give you a seat pressure at an installed height. So you can use that and Hooke's law to work out what your actual seat pressure is on your final installed height after you've done your valve grinding and seat grinding.
You don't even actually need to use Hooke's law. They even give you a spring rate.
Ah, well there you go. Some manufacturers apparently give you a spring rate. Here I am being a pleb using Hooke's law since, year 12 maths C.
I don't know. If you want to do things the hard way.
Yeah, hard way.
Look at me, Mr. Engineer. That's the top side there.
Often you don't have to grind valves like we've done here. Sometimes you will get away with just lapping. If the valve seats and the valves aren't pitted that bad that you don't need to grind them, you don't have to. So that's what we did with my motor when I did my 31 rebuild. A lot of you who watched the series might have seen that we didn't actually grind any of the valves because they're all that good that we just lapped them up and they came up perfect.
Snee, snore, lappy.
Snee, snore, lappy. Anyway, so in this instance, obviously, a lot of these valves were quite sad, so we had to grind them up. But this doesn't always have to happen. So that being said, still, even after the grind of the valve and the seats, we do still lap them. So the grind is just to get rid of the pitting, but we still lap them to make sure we get a good seal. So that comes after.
One more.
we go.
There you go. So you can see it's got rid of that bit of pitting that was up there.
Oh, that's so nice. Oh,
Very
yeah.
nice.
Oh, yeah.